Yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, help us out and click subscribe to show your support. And head on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast to help become a patron of the Pro Wrestling Podcast community and to get your name in the highlight notes and potentially help us host a live Saturday night broadcast like we do every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As we go through today's episode, feel free to call into our sound off line at 267-642-1160 for our talk to text service, where you can give us your questions, comments, concerns, and anything you want me to cover on this week's Saturday Night Live broadcast. If you want to get going with our fan voting, remember polls close tomorrow night at 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere in that time frame, depending on what time I get my hands on my computer, for the 256 Tag Team Tournament. Round 3 will close. We'll kick off Round 4 on Saturday night. So, make sure you get over there to frolifeplanning.com/fanpoll. And if you have not yet, check out frolifeplanning.com/Fro Podcast, which is the new home of all the news and rumors for the Fro Podcast, day in and day out. So, let's get started with our SmackDown review. SmackDown kicked off this week with something very interesting to me. We had an in-ring segment with all 5 of the ladies for tonight's elimination match to determine the new number 1 contender to the SmackDown Women's Championship. I feel like WWE has booked himself into a corner because SmackDown only has really 6 women who matter. I'm not trying to be mean to the other talents, but there's only 6 women who are solid contributors week in and week out. So if you take 2 out of the equation to have a women's championship match, it leaves 4. Those 4 are going to compete in a Money in the Bank ladder match, which has been rumored all week. That's what I'm expecting them to announce tonight. That's what we were expecting to have happen. And when instead, things are going to get a little crazy later in the show. But they do talk to the fans about they have to get a win. And these are clearly pre-recorded segments where all the women talk about what they're going to do. And it'll be interesting to see what the booking is for these women heading into the next pay-per-view. Kevin Owens gets his in-ring segment. He's doing another highlight reel where he stole the highlight reel from Chris Jericho. His guest is Shinsuke Nakamura. They get a great reaction. Owens talks about how Nakamura is like shrouded in mystery and nobody knows who he is or what he can do or whatever. And he calls him a rock star. And he tells a story of what happened to the last rock star who got in his way, which he was referring to his time with Chris Jericho. Before it gets going too far, Baron Corbin comes out. He's got to interject himself. He's bragging about what he did to Sami Zayn the previous week, showing some highlights. Kevin Owens, interestingly, heel-on-heel argumentativeness here, where he says that's nothing to brag about because he's been beating up Sami Zayn for the last 15 years. You know, so Baron Corbin, he makes fun of him again. He calls him Eric Cartman, which is kind of messed up. He says he's going to become Mr. Money in the Bank by this time next month. Nakamura ends up, reminding Owens that he's the one who actually got the pinfall on him the previous week. And after all this melee and whatnot, the 2 heels go after Nakamura, which eventually will lead to Sami Zayn coming out to make the save. This is cool because obviously it's going to set up a tag team match. Sami Zayn and Nakamura against Owens and Baron Corbin for this show, which is a little strange when you heard some of the banter between Owens and Corbin. Now they're going to have to team together. But the match itself actually goes over pretty well. I actually enjoyed a lot of the banter. Nakamura, all sorts of knees. That guy can throw some of the fastest, stiffest knees in all of wrestling. Kevin Owens, he has a moment where he collides with Baron Corbin. Corbin gets angry, starts getting into a fight with his own partner. Sami Zayn ends up knocking him over the ropes, and Nakamura hits his Kinshasa knee to strike to Owens to pick up the win. So Nakamura and Sami Zayn end up defeating Corbin and Owens. There's another in-ring segment where the tag team champions are out. The Usos are bragging, talking about the people aren't happy to see them. They thought Breezango was going to win the week before, but then they lost. They mocked them a little bit for the Atlanta Falcons losing to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Not a good idea to do in Atlanta. And just as they were talking about how nobody can beat them for the titles, which is like classic wrestling setup, somebody's coming out. And that's where you have, Atlanta, don't you dare be sour. The New Day is back. Xavier Woods is out with the New Day. He's talking about being back home in Atlanta. He gives a shout to his mom. The Usos, their new tagline, they got SmackDown on lockdown. They welcome them to the Uso Penitentiary. Big E actually makes a joke. He busts one about he knows what happens in penitentiaries and he doesn't want none of that. which I found to be thoroughly humorous. But they are out there for the tag team championship, and they announced that they have been confirmed as the #1 contenders to the tag team championship without ever having wrestled a match on the SmackDown roster. They will face the Usos for the belts, and they actually, for the belts. I love that Vince is probably rolling over in the back using the word belts at Money in the Bank. There's a video package for Jinder Mahal, his whole celebration, the Punjabi championship celebration and all that. And the really cool part here, though, is they grabbed all these news reports from the news agencies in India and made like a little vignette package about how he's being publicized, which was actually very cool. I thought they did a good job with that. We get to our #1 contenders elimination match, and the match doesn't even get started. These ladies are just tearing each other apart. Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Natalya, Tamina, Carmella. They're all out. They're beating the snot out of each other. It was nice to see Tamina actually get involved for a change. She like tears up the commentary table and she's throwing stuff everywhere. Looks like a raving lunatic, kind of like her dad used to back in the early 80s. Charlotte goes after her. She hits a moonsault off the top turnbuckle to the floor. She knocks out 3 people at once. Carmella is all over the place. Splash on the queen. Natalya spears Charlotte. So there's just melee going everywhere, and they never actually rang the bell. The crowd's totally into it. They get their holy S chant going on, and all 5 women are like laid out in the ring. And this brings Shane McMahon out, who really he's out there to put the girls over for, doing something really cool for the people. And now, since they all want to be #1 contenders so badly, they're just going to have one more match. It's not going to happen tonight. It's going to be in a 5-woman Money in the Bank ladder match. So there you get it. We finally get our announcement. The ladder match for Money in the Bank for the women will finally take place. They finally get that opportunity, something just like the Hell in a Cell last year. It's about time they started letting the ladies participate in some of these marquee gimmick matches. Breezango are out. They take on the Colognes. This would have been a lot better 2 months ago when you really thought the Colognes might be something. Instead, Breezango goes over big here. They have got such a following from the fans. The fans love these guys. So I really wish Breezango got a better break. It's a kind of bad timing that they get over so well right when New Day are showing up, because now they won't get a shot. There's an interview segment in the back with AJ Styles and Dolph Ziggler. They are going to be the main event for the night. AJ is ready to go right away, and Dolph Ziggler kind of blows him off and walks away, leaving some of that drama for later in the show. We do get to see Randy Orton. He comes out of the ring. It's the first time he really talks about the pay-per-view. He's bragging about his 13 world championships, talks about his dad, his grandfather. He said his grandfather would slap him in the face for losing to a guy like Jinder Mahal. He thinks that Jinder thinks he's earned the fans' respect, but he really hasn't earned anything except for an old-fashioned Orton family American-style butt-kicking. He talks about the Ganyas, which I thought was awesome. He brings up Harley Race, people who go out and get things done, and he was going to become a 14-time champion at Money in the Bank. Of course, that brings Jinder Mahal onto the Titantron. He's got the Singh brothers with him. He cuts his own promo, the modern-day Maharaja, which I love that. I want to get one of those t-shirts. It costs too darn much money, but I'd love to get one of those. And, it's the same banter as always, but it was actually interesting to hear Randy Orton bring up history, the history of his family and the history of people like the Gagne and the Harley Races and people like that in the wrestling world. Our main event is next. Is AJ Styles versus Dolph Ziggler. Let's face it, these are 2 of the best workers in the business. They really are. There are so many talents out there who want to work with people like Dolph Ziggler and want to work with people like AJ Styles. Styles is putting on a show of shows just like he always does. There's a moment there where you think that AJ is going to, get the win here. He's got the calf crusher on out of nowhere. He gets caught with a zigzag, but he kicks out of it. Dolph tries to super kick him. AJ Styles ducks underneath it. He goes to hit the phenomenal forearm, but Ziggler hit the ropes, and then it crotched AJ Styles, and he gets him with a super kick, and Dolph Ziggler picks up the pinfall win over AJ Styles. I don't know what they're doing with AJ the last couple weeks. They've been burying him in a way because they keep making him he's not as over on their shows. It's almost like they're trying to lower his character so that they can build him up again later, which I've never understood that philosophy, but whatever. Please don't forget to shoot over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/ProWrestlingPodcast. That is all the time we have for tonight's episode. Check back with us in the next episode where we'll run down all the latest news in the world of wrestling. Special thanks as always to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all the music and sound effects. Thank you as always to Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people, and if you want to pick up your copy, head over to our website at frolifeplanning.com/fropodcast, where you can get links to Sketchy People, which is awesome, Legendary Elements, which is awesome, and Banana Market, 3 board games that I would encourage everybody to pick a copy of relatively unknown, smaller game company, great games. AlleyRepair.com. Thank you as always. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. And be sure to shoot over to our website at frolifeplanning.com for any higher education needs. If you want to get to college, a university, a new career change, whatever it is, Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today. And if you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, go to tsjsports.com/WWE for the latest articles on the world of professional wrestling. Thank you guys for tuning in. We kind of rapid fire 1, 2, 3 episodes in a matter of a few hours, but we wanted to get you guys all the news, all the rumors, and we hope we've brought you some entertainment in the process. By all means, also, don't forget, pop onto that sound off line. Get us your comments, questions, and everything for Saturday night, 267-642-1160. We want to make sure we address whatever is on your mind, not just ours. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys on Saturday night's live episode, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If we get some crazy news between now and then, I'll see you guys one more time till then. Until then, take care, everybody. Have a great night.